트윈 특실.
There was a big room there.
전체를 주고 이 모델이 전체를 주고 그 상기만 올라갔을 때 손님들이
It's a ridiculously small amount for remodeling this hotel, yet I have personally spent $122,000 to remodel my motel for guests who come for the Olympics, as it is a matter of pride.
They said because foreigners tend to have prejudice towards dog meat stew, it would be good if we don't sell it during the Olympics. They will give subsidies only if we change our menu.
Richard Haigh joins me now from London. He's the Managing Director of Brand Finance. Thanks so much for joining us, Richard. Now, these South Korean Olympics are dominated by geopolitics. They're very interesting. But how are they different to past ones? And how would you say they affect brands and businesses?
Well, I mean, it's an absolutely fascinating scenario that we've got at the moment. But the problem for brands is that it's sort of overshadowing what part they have to play. The coming together of the North and South Korean teams into one united unit is somewhat the spirit and ethos of what the Olympics are supposed to be about. That's what the ancient Greeks used to deal with them. They would stop wars deliberately to hold the Olympics. And so, since it's such a politically sensitive challenge, it would be a great thing for brands to come together and support it. However, it's also got the possibility of backfiring on them if they're not extremely careful.
Backfiring how? Can you expand on that?
Well, so ultimately, every time that you're looking for a brand partnership or you're looking for a sponsorship, you're looking for all the positives that come out of it. And if you're not careful, say if you're sponsoring the Olympics or you're sponsoring any sporting activity and then a doping scandal comes out, a personal revelation, something negative happens as a result of I'm predicting the future here, I don't necessarily know, but if there was fallout from the North and South Korean coming together, then that is something that a brand might not potentially want to run the risk of associating themselves with.
OK, and how will this impact brand South Korea, given that tense political situation on the peninsula?
Well, I think South Korea is a very interesting country and a very interesting brand. We've currently got it ranked as number 10 in the world in terms of brand value, which means that as a nation brand that offers attributes to the companies within it, it's extremely supportive. Holding a successful games are one of the best ways to build the external opinion of a country. But as we saw in Rio, as we saw in Sochi, it's not always plain sailing. Beijing and I think London were both very successful games that raised the profile. And I think so far these games have been aiding the South Korean brand. I think overall the biggest winner of the games is probably going to be Samsung because they are synonymous with South Korea in the vast majority of the world. And so if the South Korean brand is being improved as a result of the games, Samsung is going to benefit from it.
OK, so you've mentioned Samsung being one of the winners. Just talk to me a bit more about who makes money here. How much will sponsors, advertisers and broadcasters be getting out of this?
Well, I mean, that's a very difficult thing to suggest. The sponsors themselves, when they sign up to an Olympic package, pay about $100 million for a 4-year package, which covers both the Winter and the Summer Olympics. Now, Samsung just recently released its earnings and its operating profit in 2018 has been, or in 2017, sorry, was $14 billion or thereabouts. So when you put that into comparison to how much they're spending on, say, $25 million a year on the sponsorship, it pales in comparison. It's a fraction of a percent. So they are going to be potentially getting a high return on investment on what they're doing there. Most of the other sponsors are going to have exactly the same thing. They're big international global brands. Look at Coca-Cola, McDonald's, whoever it's going to be. Their return is probably going to definitely outweigh what they've spent. It's difficult to say exactly how much benefit they're going to get because these are brands that are ubiquitous. But when you've got all the eyeballs of the Olympics, it's a very beneficial thing. The Winter Olympics is not as successful as the Summer Olympics. More people are talking about the Summer Olympics than they do generally about winter sports.
Richard, thanks so much for that. That was Richard Haigh from Brand Finance in London.